Okay, so today we're going to start off on Chapter 3, 3.1 and 3.2 for today's lesson. First we're going to talk about parallel lines, and parallel lines, you know, are lines that never intersect. They also have to be coplanar, so they have to be on the same plane, okay, just to remind you about that. Skew lines are lines that are never going to intersect, but that they are also not coplanar, okay? My best example of skew lines would be something that would be like the line at the top of the board of this room and the horizontal line over there connecting those two walls. They're never going to intersect, and they are completely on two different planes, okay? Parallel planes are planes that do not intersect, all right? So if we look here at our example that they give us for this little box, identify parallel and skew relationships. So name all the segments parallel to BC. Okay, so BC would be right here. So all of them parallel to BC would be GF, EH, and DA. Okay, all the segments skew to EH. EH is right here. Okay, and that's on that back corner touching those lines. So like I could say CF would be a line skew to it, okay? I could say BG would be a line skew to it, and even AB would be a line skew to it. Name a plane that's parallel to ABG. ABG is this plane down here at the bottom, okay? So the one parallel to it, of course, would be the one up here at the top, okay? All right, a transversal is a line that intersects two or more parallel lines or coplanar lines at different points. And let me show you an example here of what they have given us over here. Okay. In this first part right here, they're going to talk about relationships with two lines that have intersect with a transversal. Okay. You have interior angles that are formed, and there's also exterior angles. So when this happens, you create 8 angles. And today we're going to really talk about the relationship between these angles, okay? The first part you really want to talk about is the interior, and then of course everything on the outside is the exterior, okay? All right, so if I go ahead and come up here, let me go back. One of the things I want to remind you of, besides interior and exterior, is this first one is called consecutive interior. Consecutive meaning one after the other. So like 4 and 5 are going to be consecutive interior, and 3 and 6 are going to be consecutive interior. Okay? Alternate interior would be like 4 and 6 and 3 and 5. Alternate meaning of opposite sides of the transversal. Okay? Alternate exterior is still on opposite sides, but this time we're looking at the outside ones. So 1 and 7 are alternate exterior, and 2 and 8 are also alternate exterior. Corresponding angles are angles that are on the same spot, okay? So that would be like 1 and 5. They are both on the left of the transversal, and they're on top of the two lines. So 1 and 5, 4 and 8, 2 and 6, and 3 and 7. Okay? Now let's go ahead and go over here real fast, and let's talk about the relationships again. Okay, so over here, again, we have 2 and 6, and 2 and 6, notice they are both below this transversal right here. Okay, they are in the same spot. They're to the right of the line, so they are actually corresponding. Okay, 1 and 7 are actually exterior angles. They are across from each other. They are alternate exterior. 3 and 8 are inside. They're next to each other. They are consecutive interior. Okay. 3 and 5 are inside. They are alternate interior. Okay. And then 8 and 6, remember those are vertical from before. And then also 4 and 3, remember those are a linear pair. Okay, so just to recap our 4 new relationships. Alternate interior, consecutive interior, alternate exterior, and corresponding. Okay? Alternate interior, they're inside across from each other. Consecutive interior, they're inside but next to each other. Alternate exterior, across. And then corresponding are in the same spot. 4 and 8, 1 and 5, 2 and 6, and 3 and 7. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and move on. The first postulate that we're going to talk about is that corresponding angles, if angles are corresponding, then they are congruent. So 1 and 3 are congruent, 2 and 4 are congruent, 8 and 6 are congruent, and 7 and 5 are congruent. Okay, if they're corresponding. Corresponding angles, angles that are in the same spot, are congruent. All right? So right here, if we look at this, it says the measure of angle 11 is 51. Then what would be the measure of 15? Well, notice that 1 and 15 are corresponding, so angle 15 is also going to be 51 degrees. Okay? All right, the rest of them, alternate interior angles. If two angles are cut by transversal in which they're alternate interior, then they are congruent as well. So 1 and 3 are going to be congruent to each other, and 2 and 4 are going to be congruent to each other. Okay? Consecutive interior angles are actually supplementary. If they are bounded by these little lines right here, they're next to each other on the inside, they are actually equal to 180 degrees. Okay? This is the only one that's different than the other four. If they are alternate exterior angles are also going to be congruent to each other. So 5 and 7 are congruent, and 6 and 8 are also congruent. Okay? All right. Looking at this diagram right here, so it says the measure of angle 2 is 125 degrees. What's the measure of angle 3? Remember, their relationship is that they are alternate interior angles. So the measure of angle 3 is going to also be 125 degrees. All right? And this last page. If the measure of angle 5 is 2x minus 10, okay, and the measure of angle 7 is x plus 15, okay, find x and explain your reasoning. Okay, so the relationship between 5 and 7, notice they are both on the left of our transversal M, and they're also below P and Q. So these two are actually going to be congruent to each other. They're corresponding. And if corresponding angles are congruent, then it would be 2x minus 10 is equal to x plus 15. So when I subtract x, I get x minus 10 is equal to 15 plus 10 plus 10, x is equal to 25. All right? So let's go ahead and recap on this earlier. Alternate interior angles theorems. If these two lines are parallel and they're cut by transversal, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. If two parallel lines are cut by transversal, then the consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Okay? If two parallel lines are cut by transversal, then the alternate exterior angles are going to be congruent. And then also, if two parallel lines are cut by transversal, then the corresponding angles are going to be congruent as well.